Well, hello everybody. This is another Peak Careers interview, and today we're going to look at the fact that stress is all around us, and what does it look like? How can we handle it better? And I have a good friend who lives here in the local area, Jeri Stevens. She's the owner of Chandler Bay Resources. We're going to look at try to answer some of the questions. Do you find yourself anxious at work due to an overwhelming amount of information coming in? Do you struggle with how to get things done and a feeling that maybe someone's turned up that treadmill on you? Would you like to know what you can do to reduce that stress? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So join us today as we sort of explore these options here. So Jeri Stevens, she's the owner of Chandler Bay Resources, a psychotherapist, clinical supervisor, counselor, educator, and I've known Jeri for years. We were colleagues in many ways. We've hung out at Maine Counseling Association many times. I was a local school counselor, and she did all of our supervision. But I also saw Jeri. Jeri helped me through a very difficult time when I was at work, and I was under tremendous stress, and she was so helpful in helping me navigate that. And I still use a lot of the tips and techniques that she's given me. So I was excited to invite Jeri in here and for us to explore this topic a little bit. So without further ado, Jeri, with all that craziness at work that people are experiencing, people are inundated with emails and information. And a lot of times they're cut back and they've lost staff, but there's no reduction in the work. People are really stressed. I know so many people who are stressed at work. How does stress present itself? What does it look like?
Well, first, thank you for inviting me to join you with this topic, because it's a favorite topic of mine. What does it look like? It looks like people being sick, people calling into work, people getting grumpy, not listening, feeling invalidated. It looks like bad attitudes. When you look around your office and you start seeing people who come in sort of dragging because they don't want to be there because they're not engaged, or they don't even value their own work. So it's sort of a loss of identity in your professional work.
And I know that was me at that time, and I was just, I was so negative, and it was what I call the vortex of negativity, where it's like one piece of negativity builds and you find more. If you look for it, you'll find more.
Right.
And that was such a difficult time. And, and I remember not sleeping well. I remember having that icky feeling in my gut every time I had to go into work or go into certain meetings with certain people. And, but it was all this negativity was coming out in so many different ways, and it was affecting my home life too, right? I mean, it's not, when we talk about work stress, it does really it presents itself in many different ways.
Yes, and we're pre-wired for the negative anyway, so that as soon as the brain can, sort of latch onto a little bit of negativity, it just loves that, and it eats that up, as opposed to the hard work of staying positive and taking care of ourselves. It's harder to take care of ourselves than it is to go into the dark side.
Yes. Yeah. So what are some tips that you have to help people? What are some things that people can do to sort of deal with this?
Well, first off, it's pretty interesting that 70% of working people are disengaged in their jobs. So even bringing this topic up, it's like, people think, oh, that doesn't pertain to me. But if 70% of us are not happy, then that says a lot. And so to answer your question, you already sort of answered it a little bit, a second ago when you were talking about what it was like for you. Not sleeping well is the first thing. Sleep is the most important way to take care of stress. It is only through sleep that our brain ever gets a chance to get rid of all the toxins. So you figure you've got all this negative stuff going on during the day and the buildup of all this negative energy. And it's not until REM sleep, which is, at the end of our sleep, that we actually begin to take care of it and clean the brain. So one is to have a clear brain in the morning. Exercise is another really important piece. And some of the findings with exercise is that we don't have to be going 30 minutes or 45 minutes hardcore to have our body rejuvenate. We can be doing it 3 times a day for 10 minutes at a time. Lunch, before we go to work, take a lunch break, take a break after work. Even just 10 minutes will make a huge, significant difference in stress. Now, that's not cardio exercise, because that's not going to be the cardio build. But when we're talking about stress and clearing, toxins from the body, even 10 minutes is important. Nutrition, really minimizing sugar, simple carbs, alcohol. Not saying don't do it. I'm saying really be aware of that, especially when we've got the negativity going on. When we're stressed, that's what we reach for. And the sugar coupled with all the negative toxins in our body just is not a good combination. Get support, being able to spend time with other people, and not in a negative way. Seek out support in a way that with people that you trust and love and who can understand you. And also spend time with yourself, learning how to get quiet and be present, because we spend an awful lot of time worrying about the past and worrying about the future. And so, just dealing with today just sort of slips by us. So it's, and again, a lot of stress is about worrying about what's going to happen. So being, the couple of those 5 different ingredients can really change our lives. But most importantly, sleep and the exercise.
So, and I remember, I remember not being able to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, I can't make myself go to sleep if I'm having trouble sleeping. So
yeah.
What advice do you have for someone who is sort of seeing these kind of things?
Right. And that's exactly the reaction we get a lot, is when somebody says, okay, now I'm supposed to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to get in bed and I'm going to create anxiety worrying about sleeping. So really, getting good sleep starts early. It starts early in the day. It starts early in the morning. It starts with getting quiet. So when we go to sleep, the very first thing that happens is our body needs to be able to relax. The muscles need to relax. So doing simple stretches, meditation, yoga, anything that you can do to get your muscles to relax, to be stretched out before they go to bed, so that they don't have to take time to do that when you climb into bed. That's the first thing. The second thing that happens in sleep is your mind then will let go. But your mind's not going to let go until your body does, until those muscles let go. So the second thing you can do during the day is that mindfulness, just having time before you go to bed that you're not in front of a blue screen. You're not watching a violent TV show. You're doing things that your mind is quiet so that it's already prepared to go to sleep. So stretching and being able to have your mind quiet. And then also look at your nutrition before you go to sleep. Because if you're trying to go to sleep and all of a sudden your mind winds up because it's got all the sugar in it or whatever, it's not going to work. Or alcohol. Alcohol should stop about 2 hours before you go to sleep. So those are all things that will help your body and your mind shut down so that you can get to sleep and then stay asleep.
So we talked about the vortex of negativity and how your mind actually does look for the negative, and it tends to gravitate. I'm pretty sure you were the one who turned me on to the gratitude journal, and I did it at night, and the power of that was incredible, because what was I'd go to bed and before that, and I would mull over all that bad stuff that was happening, and I remember doing that, sitting down at night and ending my day with positive thoughts. And if there was, and meditation, I think you gave me some meditation CDs and to also sort of to slow down. But that is, the gratitude journal was huge for me.
Yeah, the gratitude, it's really interesting because a little bit of negativity creates the whole stress response, which has, the cortisol and the adrenaline and all that. There's a lot of hormones that dump into our body because it's scared. And so once we start to have any kind of anxiety or fear, then the mind's going to take care of us. It's going to say, oh no, I'm in trouble. It's a fight or flight kind of process that happens. And so you don't want that to happen when you go to bed. When you go to bed, you want oxytocin to be released. And the way that oxytocin is released is through thinking good thoughts. It's about feeling safe. So it's about breathing deep so that you can release this extra oxygen in your body, so that there's this hormone that's released for good feelings. So what happens with the gratitude journal is, instead of going to bed with how much work was so bad and all that stuff, what happens is you start writing about what I'm grateful for. And it's not even just about what I'm grateful for, it's why I'm grateful for what I'm grateful. So I'm grateful for having a puppy because she makes me laugh a lot and keeps me young. And what that does is it puts a smile on our face, and then we go to bed with oxytocin. And so it changes the whole level of sleep.
Yeah.
I usually recommend that people do 5 gratitudes a night right before they go to bed.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of research shows that if you do even 2 minutes of a gratitude journal for 21 days, that you're changing your mind to actually scan for the positives.
That's right.
That's right. And it's and as I write in my blog on this topic, when I did that, suddenly everybody at work changed.
Isn't that interesting?
It was like all these people are horrible. All these people are horrible. And I'm doing a gratitude journal, and a couple of weeks later, I'm like, oh, that person's kind of nice, and no, and then and some of them, I still had my issues. I mean, obviously there was still stress, but it was like they had changed, and I realized I'm the one that changed. I'm in charge of that, and I really have to own that.
That's right. We're not in charge of the events that go on around us unless we cause them. But generally speaking, we're not in charge of those events, but we are in charge of our perception of those events. And if I have a cloud over me, then I'm going to have a negative way of dealing with it. Not just thinking about it. The other thing about all of this is that when I think negative, I'm going to act negative. And so then people are going to respond to me negative. So really, I have control over that. If I learn not to think negative, if I can separate what's real and that I have to deal with versus what's not real, but I've created it or made it up, if I can learn how to separate that, then I'm not going to have to be negative. I'm going to look at, oh, this is real, there's nothing I can do about it. This is not real, and I can either be part of the solution or part of the problem. And that's, to me, that's the foundation of that stress. Is it mine to control? If it's not mine to control, then how do I learn to live with it?
Right. Which is so much about mindfulness, right? I mean, mindfulness is being in the present and letting the past is the past and not worrying about the future. I mean, you do want to plan and all that stuff, but really when you take yourself and put yourself into the present moment, what do you really have control over, and how are you going to do that? But so all right, again, to a lot of the audience here are career counselors, career coaches, people working against can be very high stressful places with lots of expectations. Besides sleep, I can take care. I've got some tips there for going to sleep and getting a better good night's sleep. What about during the day? What about in the middle of this insanity? What are some things I can do?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is what we've learned about giving and volunteering and helping other people feel valued also has a kickback to us at feeling good. And so as people in the professionals working with other people, not only is it powerful for us to take care of ourselves, but it's also powerful for us to help other people take care of themselves, then we feel good. So the more I listen to somebody, for example, and the more I can learn about somebody, and the more I can validate them, then in the long run, the better I feel. So they're going to feel better, but I'm going to feel better too. And we have a tendency where we tend to listen to people with the purpose of telling them what to do, and that creates negative energy in ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense. But so the more that I can listen to a person and not be thinking, this is what you should be doing, but I can be thinking about, wow, that's incredible. So what are you going to do about it? So the more I can allow somebody that clear path that they can be, take care of themselves, empower other people, then I'm actually doing myself a favor at taking care of myself. I don't own their problem. I don't get burdened by their problem. And that's a way of taking care of myself. So there's one big, huge piece that I can let go of. So like for career counselors and for educators and teachers and professionals, if they can let go of feeling responsible for other people's outcomes, then that's one great way to take care of themselves at work. Getting up and stretching every hour, make sure they're up and moving. Recognizing that my day is only 8 or 9 hours of work. That's all I have to do. I can't do any more that I can do, and leave it and know that some of it's not going to get done. My pile, I'm not going to get through my pile today. I have to just recognize that everybody, we're very short-staffed, and almost every job that I've ever been in, and everybody that I work with, they're short-staffed, and so a lot of people are overworked. But how do you do it? Just do what you can do.
I like the idea of the 1 hour. I actually have a timer that I leave, and I put it on 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And so my day starts here at home, but I set the timer. I sit down. I crank through work. Timer goes off, and that's usually when I'll go out and get another half a cup of coffee, or I'll go. Yeah. That's when I'll go brush my teeth. It'll be my break to get up and walk away, and then come back. Now, and there's times that I'm deep into something, and I'll hit it again, and I'll because I'm in something that requires deeper thought, right? I mean, there's sort of this balance of shallow stuff, shallow thinking. You really do need time to get into something. So sometimes I'll double it up or whatever I need. But my default is 45 minutes to get up and do something. And
great idea.
Sometimes, and I'll try to go for a walk, and, just even getting up, as you said earlier, just getting up and walking, and it doesn't have to always be that long. It's the brain moving away from all the work, and just sort of being in that moment.
Add a stretch to it. So while you're going to get your coffee, bend over and stretch a little bit. And so you're going to take a 2-minute break while you get your coffee. Have some kind of whole body stretch.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the difference that can make.
Right. And it isn't, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. When I was working for Hard at Work Associates down in Portland, had an office. If I was there all day, I would just close the door, and I actually do some qigong. I would actually which is basically stretching and a little, and it's, for me, it's mindfulness too. It's because it makes me focus on the stretch. It makes me focus on what I'm doing, and so I'm removing my brain from all this sort of activity.
Right.
So the other thing I use is the app on my phone, calm.com.
Yes.
And every day at 2:30, it goes off. Now, I don't always take my time exactly every day at 2:30, but I got a reminder that says, time for meditation. And I'll go out, and there's some 10-minute meditations that are on there that are free. There's more you can buy, but I mean, there's enough free ones they're just 10 minutes long. And what a difference, it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And people don't realize that you don't have to do it a prescribed way. Because say you start with that 10 minutes, you don't have to purchase the product, because you can start making things up yourself. What works for you. It's really about, becoming, the other piece is becoming mindless, but you don't ever really shut your mind off. The mind's always going. So it's really about calming your mind. A lot of people will say, well, I can never shut down. We don't want to shut down. We don't shut down, but we really want to remove ourselves from yesterday and tomorrow, and we really want to sit in quiet with today.
Right.
You know.
So a lot of great tips here. So quieting the mind, exercising, nutrition, obviously getting good sleep,
Support, being with friends.
Support. Any other pieces of tips that you can add to that?
Only that the only person who can change me is me. The only person who can change you is you. And so we can keep blaming everybody else, but in this moment, I'm the only one that can do it for me.
Great.
So.
Well, yeah, right. Thank you very much. So I'm Jim Peacock with Peak Careers Consulting. I've offered facilitating career development class since 2001. I'm now teaching it once a year in Maine, and also once in Maine it'll be in October, and in New Hampshire, Vermont area it'll be starting in April each year. I have online discussion-based seminars for career practitioners. I do workshops, and I have a handful of individual career coaching clients that I do, but most of my work is actually doing the top three parts of my. I love training and working with other career counselors, career practitioners. If you are a career practitioner or a person who delivers career services, they're called all kinds of things. You can sign up for my top 10 tips for working with an undecided person and get my newsletters at my website. Feel free to connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and most of these other places. Most active on LinkedIn, probably. And look forward to connecting with all of you. And a special thanks to Jeri today. Nice to see you, Jeri. And I really appreciate you giving this advice, because this is such an important topic.
Great. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much.